Yes.
It is fettuccine, chicken fettuccine Alfredo fry. Turn it on. Do you want meat? Meat salad? Yeah. with meat.
So range appropriately.
We have ranch house.
All right, please stand for the pledge.
That's the president.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Invocation this morning is Christy.
Bow our heads. Dear Lord, thank you for this meal and for bringing all of us together in fellowship. Please help us to remember the coming of Christ this Christmas season as we head into Advent, and use that to promote our works as Rotary with being fair to all concerned, and help us with our generosity and doing things and doing good throughout the community. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Everybody have a seat. We have a few announcements and some procedural things to do this morning. The information you'll see if you get it through on your emails about polio, if you've been following that. Thankfully, there are no new cases to report for a few weeks now. That's a good thing. We still have a large fight on our hands. Make sure you're continuing to go through that. Andy Ferguson has some stuff for us for Paul Harris. Andy, come on up.
Thank you so much.
So I just want to remind everybody about the match, the opportunity to make a donation to Paul Harris and have those points matched through a contribution of another Rotarian. And so we're running that through the end of the year. It's a 1-for-1 match. You put $100 in, you get 200 points, which drives you closer to your next foundation level. I have several that have already done it, and we're going to see in the next couple of weeks, we'll have a presentation ceremony where we'll present everybody with their Paul Harris Foundation Recognition Award levels. But there's time left to do it, and there's points available to do it. So if you want to take advantage of that match, now's the time between now and the end of the year. Get a check to Dale Dalton to contribute to the foundation, and we'll get you lined up for your next Paul Harris Award. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. And one reminder that we do have our Christmas program on December 12th. That's usually largely attended. If you're going to bring guests, you might want to maybe let us know, because we only book for 40 typically. So if you're going to bring a lot more people, welcome to let us know so we can let the folks here know that we need more food. We have a new membership to address. So Rod, if you can come up here and give me a hand with that. Rod gets to kick off our induction ceremony process.
The Rotary Club of Clinton, through its members, enhance the lives of people in our community and around the world. This is accomplished through the commitment and engagement of our members. Bringing in new members not only increases our ability to do good, but also brings new ideas, energy to those efforts.
Great. So our new membership today is with Marcia. Marcia, if you come on up. Hey, Andy Green. Food in your mouth. You're the sponsor. You can come and read this part. This says sponsor mentor. Do we need a plastic film thing over that so you don't spit Alfredo sauce on our fancy sheet there?
Where am I reading?
You're right there.
Just down to here.
Yep.
Welcome to the
You can handle it if you want. Go ahead.
Rotary Club of Clinton. I stand before you to lead you into a new and great adventure in friendship and service and vocation to your community and to your fellow man. You are joining 73 members of this Rotary Club and over 1.2 million members in 200 counties around the world, 200 countries around the world. All our business and professional people banded together by a common commitment to service above self. Through service, Rotarians are committed to fostering world peace and understanding, to applying the ideal of service in their personal, business, and community lives, and to promoting high ethical standards in business and profession.
Okay. Okay. Helen Keller is credited with this quote: "Life is either a daring adventure or nothing. I speak to urge you forward in a new and great adventure to become more than a member, to become a Rotarian. Rotarians are the people who look beyond differences to make a difference. There are many things you must learn. Primary is the object of Rotary, the preamble of which is to encourage and foster the ideal of service as a basis of worthy enterprise. Incidental to this is the Rotary motto, service above self, just referred to. We encourage you to learn all you can about Rotary, its organization, its goals, and its achievements, which are many. The Rotary International website is packed with information. Most important is participation, and this begins with engagement. Please find your passion, get involved, and make a difference. You will often hear the words Rotary Fellowship. You will experience this as you get acquainted with other members of this club, serve on teams, and participate in the social functions. In this way, you will make new friends and become a vital part of Rotary. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Clinton. Marcia, everybody give her a round of applause. Your microphone, go ahead.
Okay, hi. So my name is Marcia Thrall, and I am the Director of Programming for the Franciscan Peace Center, which is an offshoot of the Sisters of St. Francis in Clinton, Iowa. I have been working in that space for about 6 months, and I live in Iowa City. I plan to move to Clinton by this spring. I'm in the process of closing on a house right now. And I think that's it. Do I have to say more about myself?
Whatever you feel comfortable saying.
Oh, we need volunteers for our share sandwiches program. So if anybody would like to help out and distribute sandwiches, or even drive down to the food bank in the Quad Cities to pick up food for us, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. Next up, we have fellowship. Oh, Judge Siv, right, that's right. Give him a big round of applause. He's a popular guy. He gets.
You didn't mean that. But... All right. Thank you. What happened to Morningside? Morningside, their football team.
Starting quarterback broke his hand.
Okay, all right. Well, my
His hand patting himself on the back.
A player of the year.
condolences, condolences. Yeah. Great program. All right. Let's first give a Rotary welcome to our guests. Is there a sheet that has the guests? Oh, here it is. Right in front of me. Crispy?
Just stand on the chair.
He is standing up.
With me, Leo, this is my younger. So they don't have school today, and I got him to tag along. Want to convince London she's having too much fun with grandma.
Hi, Leo. Good to see you again. Welcome. And some students from Prince of Peace. Joe?
Thank you, Doug. In the gray, I have Madison Thacker, who's one of our seniors, and in the blue is Nia Thomas, two of our seniors.
Welcome, ladies. Thank you. And as I understand, this is their first visit.
That's great.
Okay, all right. Birthdays. We only have one this week. And I'm glad he got here on time to be recognized. John Fry, on Friday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
That's $1 per year, John.
We need to get an ATM out here.
All right, there are no anniversaries to recognize or acknowledge this week, so we'll go right into raising some money. With our attendance the way it is, I feel I want to get as much we can for the scholarship fund, but I also don't want to put this too expensive. So just everybody put in $3 at least if you can, or more if you're able to. We need to have that for the next spring when we recognize area seniors. Again, today I'm going to cover some historical events. I'm going to ask you in what year this happened. So first of all, Dennis, let's put you with these fellows up here in front, okay? You might know this. The album Thriller by Michael Jackson was released in this year, and it cemented his status as the world's biggest pop star. You ladies ever heard of Michael Jackson? Yeah, okay. All right, I'm sure Leo hasn't.
I was gonna say two, but you say three. Andy.
See with the multiple choice.
It became multiple choice. No. It sold 40 million copies. It was on the #1 album charts in several countries around the world. What year was Thriller released?
1983.
Close, 1982.
No,
You had it?
I was gonna say 82.
I thought.
Well, you were going to be right,
But
but you weren't. All right. John Fry, at your table. In this year, the Atari Corporation introduced a new video game called Pong. Raise your hand if you remember Pong. All right, good. The game was created by one of the employees of the Atari Corporation. The two players had a controller or a knob, and it was like playing ping pong. You had to get the little ball into its play. What year was that introduced?
69.
1972. How many of you played that game? I did. I remember that. All right, Greg, your table. We're talking now about the Bermuda Triangle. In this year, 5 U.S. Navy Avenger torpedo bombers called Flight 19 took off from Fort Lauderdale Naval Base on a routine training mission. They never returned. 2 hours into the flight, the leader of the squadron reported his compass and backup compass had both failed. And he didn't know where he was. The other planes in the flight experienced the same instrument malfunctions. Radar stations said that the flight was somewhere north of the Bahamas and east of Florida. Search and rescue found no wreckage, no sign of the squadron. They just disappeared, and 13 crew members. In what year did that happen? It began the legend of the Bermuda Triangle.
$1947.
Close, 1945. All right. Gary, over here in the corner of your table. In Montgomery, Alabama, in this year, Rosa Parks famously was put in jail for refusing to give up her seat on a public bus to a white gentleman. Well, man, not gentleman. This was a violation of segregation laws, and Rosa Parks became an icon of the civil rights movement. The NAACP promoted boycott of the bus system, which lasted for quite a long time and cost the city a lot of money. In what year did Rosa Parks take this heroic action and become an icon of the civil rights movement?
1962.
No, 1955. All right, I've got one more here that I found very interesting, but since we've covered all the tables, I'll just throw this out there for information, but I thought it was pretty interesting. Won't cost anybody anything. Well, you're all paying a fine anyway. How did time zones get created? We've got we're in the central time zone, we've got the Atlantic, the Mountain, and the Pacific. Anybody know how that came to be?
Coordinate the railroads.
Exactly.
Coordinate the railroads.
That's exactly right. Back before the time zones, everybody set their local time. The high noon was when the sun was the highest in the sky, and that's how they set their clocks. The railroads this drove them crazy because they had to put out schedules so that you know when the train was going to depart and when it was going to arrive. And it was a nightmare. And so the American and Canadian railroads began using 4 continental time zones to end the confusion. This happened in 1883, and that's how we got time zones. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, everybody knows I have a great affection for railroads. They're my favorite people. Thank you, Dave, for that. It was like an episode of Jeopardy in your potpourri category. That was great. Okay, so we move on to our program. And Norland has the program for us this week.
Thank you. Sorry about my, I guess I'm getting a little voice back. You can actually hear me a little bit here. But, you know, Judge, you were talking about time zones. It kind of reminded me, the first industry we attracted in the 80s was West Point Pepperell down in Georgia. So I was invited down as volunteer chairperson to visit the industry. On the east side of town, it was Eastern time, and on the west side of town, it was Central time. You talk about confusing. You had to know which street you're on. I'm really pleased today. Well, first of all, Dennis, you know, if you want to put a little money up, since Nebraska embarrassed Iowa, put a little money up and hold your cup up there.
Yeah. This isn't as good tasting as it was 25 years ago.
I'm pleased today to have one of our fellow Rotarians here with us. I thought it would be interesting for us to learn. And Brian, I noticed there's a young lady sitting at the table, probably going to critique you pretty well back there, Brian. But Brian grew up in Chicago. He got his associates, and I'm going to butcher these names because they're Kishwaukee.
Yeah.
Bachelor at Southern Illinois. That one I can say. His master's at Merrill Hearst. I'm doing okay. And the doctorate is easy. That was in Creighton. So he was the vice president of Lane Community College in Oregon before we had the opportunity to bring him to Clinton. We're glad to have him here. He's the president of Clinton Community College, Eastern Iowa Community College for 2.5 years. Brian Kelly, please.
Well, thank you for the introduction, and it's great to be here today. I do have some facts on your table, and these are facts from the American Association of Community Colleges. And I thought it might be good to just look at these really quickly as we kind of frame Eastern Iowa Community College and Clinton Community College. You see that there's over 1,000 community colleges in the United States. And credit by attendance, we're looking at about 65% of our students nationwide being part-time and about 35% of them being full-time. Our Clinton experience is a little different than that, and it is in Eastern Iowa community colleges as well. About 70% of our students are part-time and only about 30% of our students are full-time. It's an area where we look at getting students to the finish line and completing them. We know that we need to get more full-time students. Gender right next to that, 60% women and 40% men nationally attend community colleges. Ours is even higher than that. We're looking at about 65% women in Eastern Iowa community colleges and about 35% men. Down in that corner there, average and median age, average age nationwide is 27. In the Eastern Iowa community colleges, about 24. And our median age nationwide, 23 in the community colleges, 21 in Eastern Iowa community colleges. Anyone have an idea of why our ages might trend lower? I'm gonna give this one to Gary. High school enrollment, exactly. It's overall the high school and concurrent enrollment that we see in our programs throughout the district. I think something really significant on this page, and probably something we don't talk enough about when we talk about our students either in the high schools, community colleges, or in the universities. If you'll look at this, and I find this staggering because this statistic always wasn't at this level. Other significant demographics, students with disabilities, 20%. That means 1 in 5 of our students in American community colleges identify with a disability, right? Are we doing enough to level the playing field for those individuals to be successful in college? It's something that I ask myself every day. If you flip that page really quickly, still doing the overview, annual tuition and fees, 4-year universities, almost $11,000 a year, community colleges, just under $4,000 a year. Still a tremendous value in this country. Half of the undergraduates in the United States are attending community colleges. If you attend a community college and transfer to a 4-year regent, your chances of graduating that regent university are greater to or equal to if you started at that institution. At a lot of our institutions, we see students having more success having started and gotten their start at a community college, transferring to those regents. This is a nationwide statistic and something that we have to tout as we tell our story. Last thing I'll focus on this page is the median earnings of full-time employees by educational attainment. The difference between high school and associate's degree is starting to close a little bit. That gap used to be $25,000. It's about $21,000 now. What I would always tell students is the difference between an associate's degree and high school education on average is you make $25,000 more a year. Over the course of a 40-year professional career, that's $1 million. That's $1 million for that investment. That's a pretty hefty return. And we still like to tell students that this is good. You can see the breakdown for bachelor's degree. That goes exponentially higher with master's degree and doctorates as well. Education still pays. Down at the bottom of this page, we'll take one more poke here. Only 15% of our students are actually receiving federal loans. Okay, how have we done that? We've done that through foundations. We've done that through innovative programs within the country, like our Governor's Last Dollar Scholarship Program, making college free. We hear a lot about student loans and the difficulty of people paying back student loans. Many of our students are attending Clinton Community College at no or low cost, and we aim to keep it that way because we know what loans do to people when they get out into industry, and it's really hard to pay those back. So we try to find as many opportunities for students to attend community college for low or no cost. We've been really busy in the last few years. We had a pandemic, but we decided that we had a lot of things to focus on, and we just kept moving as a team. It's a really great team at the college, and our theme this year was, how do we tell our stories? How do we continue to tell the story of community colleges? One way I like to tell the story is to look at sheets like this and talk about national averages, the cost effectiveness, the gateway to the middle class for community colleges. But one way we can tell that story is our expansion of career and technical opportunities and facilities in the area. And it's a way that we've been really excited, a lot of media coverage, great partnerships between our superintendents, all 8 school districts in Clinton and Jackson County pledging students for 10 years to attend these centers. Our Clinton Center now open, our DeWitt Center scheduled to be open in the spring, and we're looking at Makokata improvements happening currently. Why did we do this? 65% of the jobs in this community require some sort of post-secondary education. It doesn't have to be a degree. It can be some training, it can be a certificate, it can be coursework. but we know that 65% of the jobs in this community require some sort of post-secondary credential. We also know that about 40% of our students hire in the rural areas, and some of our rural areas were even above 40%. Students pursue no education beyond high school. It's a job market that's been a little unforgiving for individuals who've made that choice. We really wanted to focus on rural opportunities. At our groundbreaking at the DeWitt Center, we had students from Cal Wheat. About a dozen of them came out that morning and a couple of vans, really excited. It's very difficult for folks in some of these rural areas in Western Clinton County to be able to get to our facilities that are in the more populated areas. Having a DeWitt Center is going to make that drive much shorter and their access to career training viable. We did this at Eastern Iowa Community Colleges to really align this to our strategic priorities. We have workforce imperatives, educational imperatives, and financial imperatives, finding that gateway to the middle class. What is that way where we can get people out, break the cycle of poverty by training people for the jobs that exist in our communities today. School districts, we talked a little bit about that. Guaranteed student enrollment for a decade. The community stepped up and guaranteed a bond referendum not to exceed $40 million. And EICC committed to have faculty trained to and equipment for these facilities. An amazing amount of opportunity for our students, from automotive to construction tech to education, information technology, welding. A tremendous investment in Clinton and Jackson County. If we look at this, that number's even increased a little bit. Out of that $41 million bond, almost just about half of it is coming to Clinton and Jackson counties in the Clinton Center and the DeWitt Center. A tremendous investment into this community that will inform a generation of students' opportunity to changing career academies. One way we designed these buildings was if we weren't having an agriculture class or a CNC class that was getting any kind of enrollment and there was an industry need, we could convert those spaces. Maybe one of those spaces becomes a robotic space or a laser technology space. We want to be viable. We've assembled an advisory committee that's comprised of educators and businesses in the community to talk about this and continue to update that. Here's a little bit about the commitment. I know this is small, but in Clinton and Jackson County, over 250 students assigned for the next decade to be here, and the breakdown of that. A little bit about how we'll pay for that, and then we generate the revenue. A lot of times with bonds and grants, we have good ideas, but they're not sustainable. We can't continue to do them. This is a 10-year plan on how to do this, and we'll renew this plan. With that revenue, this will be cost neutral, and this is what's going to pay for equipment upgrades, our faculty and staff that'll be in those spaces, able to keep those spaces viable for the next decade. Again, our theme this year at Clinton Community College, telling our story, getting out and really telling people the value of an education and the value of having a community college. We tell that through numbers, and I'm so pleased that Dr. Vickers is here today, because this statistics hurts. Because when we move in the future, we look at an IPEDS number, and IPEDS is first-time full-time enrollment and your success within 150% of the degree requirement. For community colleges, that's 3 years. How many of our students get done in 3 years? So the groundwork that we were able to lay at Eastern Iowa Community College with a really heavy advising model, a really student-focused and student support system that kept students engaged and students connected to their advisor, their counselor. Part of the work Dr. Vickers did when she was the vice chancellor, in addition to being president of Clinton Community College, she was vice chancellor for student development. Those changes, we're starting to really see the fruits of that labor. National average is about 36% for an IPEDS graduation rate. Last year at Clinton Community College, we had a 55.8% IPEDS graduation rate. That's the highest in Eastern Iowa Community College history. and 20 points above national average. It's outstanding. 88.1% of the folks in Clinton County voted for this bond. Also a record in terms of bond referendum approval rating, $40 million we're going to be able to invest into our community to train students. Enrollment, we've got some other really good numbers. This year, we've talked a lot about colleges and college enrollment down. I was in the airport the other day. That was the story on the television, that all colleges and universities are going to go away, doom and gloom. Nobody's going to them anymore. Not exactly true, but a good talking point, I think, for a news cycle. Our fall tuition up 4.5%, our total hours of full tuition students. It's the greatest amount of high school credit hour increase. We're seeing a lot of this with the career academies. We're up almost 14% there. And as we continue to engage students in the high schools, taking English and speech courses before they get to us, those numbers continue to grow too. Overall, our enrollment up just over 4%. We have a great program modeled on the TRIO program. Dr. Michelle Almendinger put this together. It is a support system for students. Our RISE cohort, keeping them together, advising, tutoring, providing services for our students. What we've seen is the total GPA in that cohort, 3.57%, 86% fall to spring retention. Again, that's about 25 points over the average. This is a small group of students we're really able to focus on. Our foundation, our gracious foundation, just agreed to double the stipend. Students got $500 for being part of this. They know that they're going to be successful based on that. They doubled it. So now students are getting $1,000 to be a part of this program. And grants, we've been really fortunate to attract some money to Clinton Community College from all over, not only the state and the region, but nationally. $150,000 for Metallica. You saw that there are over 1,000 community colleges. 27 colleges in the entire country are Metallica scholars colleges, and we're one of those. $1 million from the state of Iowa to help with our facility in DeWitt. 787,000 matched by the bond, so that turns into $1 million. That's equipment from the Economic District, Department of Commerce, and thrilled to be awarded $500,000 from the CCDA for Bickelhop Arboretum renovation. 75 years and counting. So that's another way we can tell our story. We talk a lot about new education ideas and people coming into the community and different opportunities for people to get trained. The more education we can get into this community, the better. I'm never going to tell anything. I'm never going to say that somebody else can't come into town and do this. We'd love to see partners. We've also been doing this for 75 years and have done a good job with it. So that's our track record. We tell our stories through places. We have a beautiful art gallery on campus. Haley Calvin, this is some pictures of her putting up some of her artwork in that space. Our Bickelhop Arboretum, open 365 days a year, dawn to dusk. I was out there yesterday. It was even on a rainy day, still a lot of people out there. Arts at the Arb, we're able to do that through Rotary and Kiwanis. Part of our plans for the Bickelhop Arboretum renovation, moving along very nicely. We're fingers crossed for a Destination Iowa grant. As we get to the end of the year, all that money is supposed to be distributed before the end of this calendar year. So that's something else we still have out there. Our new buildings, this is a picture of our DeWitt Center. I don't know if you've driven by on Highway 30, but that building moving along very nicely, almost framed in for the winter. The idea is to get that completely enclosed within the next few weeks so we can start on interior work, walls, floors, electrical. They're getting a beautiful health lab, a beautiful chemistry lab, some industrial spaces. It's going to be an amazing asset for that community. And of course, our new Career Academy Center in Clinton, able to put that together, and classes starting there this fall. So we have students in there today doing welding, automotive, culinary. Those are programs that are active now. Our Maquoketa Center, doing some great things in Maquoketa. We have almost 140 students in credit classes. Last year, 14 Maquoketa High School students graduated with their AA and their high school degree, and 20 students received a production welding certificate while in high school. That's not a huge school, so those numbers are extra impressive because we're looking at class sizes of less than 100 most of the time in Maquoketa. We tell our story through community. We'll be hosting the Bury Scurry here in a few weeks. This will be my fourth one. I have to say that the minus 35 below is much closer to my experience than the 60 degrees. So I'm hoping we can see that 60-degree piece coming up soon. Last year was really cold. Recently, we did a pledge drive to get some food for our pantry. Another national statistic, students in colleges and universities, again, it's about 24%, 1 in 4, 1 in 5 experience some sort of food insecurity. We have a pantry on campus where folks can go in there. If it's a few days before their paycheck, if they've had some other troubles, they can fill up a bag of groceries and do that. This was the boxes with people's face on it. If you put a can in the box, that counted as a point. If you got the most points, your prize was pie in the face. So I had 4 terrific staff and faculty members who won that contest and took a pie in the face. We had over 280 items gained in that campaign. We've been doing leadership work with businesses in Maquoketa and Jackson County, just starting the second cohort with them. More on the continuing ed side, a lot of new businesses, a lot of young businesses out there. We're able to assist in those leadership skills. Clinton Starter, this is something exciting. You might have heard about Kickstarter and giving money for a campaign. We had, through our foundation, 4 really generous donors who, I did this at my last college, and it's proposals that fall outside of our budgetary EICC and CCC budget. But if you had a really great idea about enrollment or a way to be entrepreneurial and make some money, Clinton Starter would fund that. And this isn't full-time funding, but this is startup funding. So we've had some really, really interesting things. First-generation family scholarships. If you're a first-generation college student, I'm a first-generation college student, you could get a scholarship to give to somebody in your family to take a free class, to try to bring more people into higher ed. We're supporting a lecture series, and there was a support system for transitioning Ukrainian families that we started in the fall. Over $250,000 of scholarships given out from the Paul B. Scherer Foundation. Again, we're really trying to make this a low cost or no cost experience for students. We tell our stories through people, nothing better than our graduates who make it through to the end. And every year we get them to the finish line and they're off to industry, out to working or transferring to another college. Our amazing faculty, when we couldn't get into our auto lab because our building wasn't finished at the start of the fall, they assembled all these great workshops where students were working on tuning up a car and doing this through a computer. And we didn't lose a student in that program. My fear was if those students had signed up for those labs and really wanted to be in those labs, that when we put them in a classroom for a few weeks until we could get those labs ready, it wouldn't be as interesting. Faculty did an amazing job of keeping them engaged. We've hired a bunch of new staff, and this feels really good. 3 new faculty members started this year. Getting a full-time faculty member is a big investment, right? So to be able to do that was great. We also have 3 career and college-ready counselors. We share those in 6 of our school districts currently. And we welcome 3 new student development staff just here in the last couple of months. We celebrate people by recognizing Glametta Wynn and Duke Slater and folks that have history in this community. We celebrate through our alumni. This year we had our graduate, or our 50th anniversary of our first nursing cohort from 1972. So 2022 is the 50-year anniversary. And one of the alumni actually spoke at the commencement. And our first graduating class that had 86 graduates, many were veterans who had returned from World War II. Our 2022 class had 176 graduates. We're going to exceed that number this year. And part of that 75th anniversary, our former faculty member created a painting to memorialize that. And this is something I'm really proud of. Our PTK group, our honor society on campus, talked about what they could do for a service project in the community. And they met with me and we talked about first responders and we talked about the pandemic and we talked about some of the emergency situations we've had in town. And they said, let's focus on saying thank you. So they built care packages, and throughout the year, the Clinton Fire Department, Comanche Fire Department, police department, emergency services stopped by with care packages just to let them know that we appreciate them. We had a fire alarm the other day, and we had an amazing, quick, full response that in the end told us somebody had microwaved something a little too long. But they were there quickly, and it's always nice to have them. We're hosting in our art gallery many of our faculty. Pat Cheek, Beth Wood, Chris Legal have all been in there. Our faculty do amazing work outside of their programs and create art. We're able to focus on that. And in the not so distant future, we are working with the city of Clinton on a storm bank restoration project that will affect the Arboretum. Since this slide presentation has been put together, that has happened, and we're going to have a bunch of work done there as part of an overall stream bank restoration project within the city. And again, Destination Iowa, all of those awards are supposed to be announced by the end of the calendar year. Looking forward to receiving some acknowledgement for our vision for the Bickelhart Arboretum. So that's what I have. What stories are we going to tell? We've been busy. We have low and no cost options for students. I believe community colleges are the pathway to the middle class. I think that we can get a lot of people involved in education. And we have an absolutely amazing team who shows up every day dedicated to getting students the skills they need to participate in this workforce. I'll answer any questions that anybody has. Yeah.
Just a comment, I was on your website this morning. But I was working with a client that had a human resource problem, and I noticed that you have an introductory course in human resources there. Every 6 weeks, people can take it online and kind of introduces people to the pitfalls that all small businesses and all businesses really run into with employment matters. And so I was glad to see it. I think I'm going to recommend to my client that some folks from their organization attend, and others, particularly if you're running a business and you're focused on the business, but just a little mistake sometimes can result in you get sued for something that you could have easily avoided, asking the wrong question during an interview, or various things that happen during the course of the day. So it looked to me like that'd be a very valuable thing for business, and just wanted to mention I saw it, and thank you.
Yeah, it's a great plug and a great opportunity to invest some time. Your staff can do that online. They can do it during working hours, and a great resource. And you're right. I think in the long run, courses like that could save small companies and newer companies a lot of money.
Many businesses and industries are complaining about staff shortages. How about for the college, difficulties finding staff and professors to fill the bill?
You know, we were really fortunate. We had 3 positions this fall and we were able to fill them all with outstanding individuals. I mean, these weren't compromised choices. These were top-notch educators. There are some fields within education right now that are remarkably difficult, right? If I can make twice as much working from home as an IT professional, why am I going to come work for the community college, right? Automotive is trending that way. Our automotive techs in the region, those can be $90,000 a year jobs. And I can't pay $90,000 a year for a faculty member. So it depends on the discipline. We've done really well, but I know that we're struggling in higher ed in some of those disciplines where the private sector pay is so much. Teaching is, you know, none of us got into teaching to get rich. And that's still very true.
What's your total employment? Total employment.
Total employment for EICC, we're between 850 and 920.
Does it enrollment? How about employment?
No, that is employment.
Okay.
So that's how many folks are currently employed by EICC. That number shifts a little bit seasonally, and then depending on the course selection. All right, thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brian. Quick, what's your favorite Metallica song? Just go on. Did we get it back? Hello, there we go. What's your favorite Metallica song?
I like Ride the Lightning.
Okay. My favorite, of course, is Whiskey in the Jar.
Whiskey in the Jar.
That's whiskey. That's a remake, though, of Thin Lizzy. So there you go. Thanks, Brian, for that interesting presentation. Take this opportunity to thank Brig for filling in for greeting, Christy for invocation, Judge Sibrick for taking care of fellowship, and Norland, thank you for taking care of the program for us. Anything else from the floor, or we're ready to go? Oh, the book! Shoot, the book! I forgot the book. As you know, on behalf of the club and the presenter, we give a gift of a book to the Children's Library up at the Clinton Public Library. This week is Until Someone Listens. So there you go. If you would sign that, we'd get it over to the library. I think we know someone who might be able to handle that, right? So, yeah. Okay, good. Thank you all very much, and imagine Rotary. Nice.